بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. So we are at the second section of today's class, and we're gonna study Surah Al-Muddaththir. We had verses 1 to 30 last week, and today we're gonna have verses 31 to 56. And I'm going to ask a question, which I already talked about it at the first section. How many paragraphs do you think that Surah Al-Muddaththir has? Did you study it during this week? Did you think about the paragraphs that it has? Do you have any idea? Nothing? It doesn't have any paragraph? Zero? It cannot be zero. Okay. You are very quiet, and it's kind of scaring me. Am I still connected or not?
You said earlier, sister, that there's 3 paragraphs, so I assume there's 3 paragraphs.
Okay. You didn't want to cheat, right? It's not cheating. It's okay if you say that you said 3 paragraphs and we agree with it. It's 3 paragraphs, or we are not agree with it. It's 4 paragraphs. Or at least tell me if it's 3 paragraphs, which verses are in the second paragraph and which verses are in the third paragraph. It's okay. Anyway, it has 3 paragraphs, yes. And we are going to explain it, why there are 3 paragraphs in this chapter, and why did we divided it into these paragraphs. So just a quick review on what we had last week. At the first paragraph, which was verses 1 to 10, we saw that God started talking with the prophet and describe him to tell us his situation, and God commanded some orders and told the prophet that you have to do these things and you have to continue your prophecy and you have to be prepared for the rest of your prophecy. And then God started describing one of the enemies of Islam, one of those disbelievers who were trying to stand against the Prophet. God described him as a wealthy person who has children and also who has powers and who has a social status. And God told us that he made plots against Quran and Islam, and then he executed his plot. God told us about his plot, which was a very actually kind of a smart plot against Quran. He made it very smart. He was trying to fool those people. He went among them and he told them that I agree with you that this is an effective word. This Quran is an effective word, but the point is this is magic. That's why it can affect you. It's not a revelation, and this is just a magic, and it is written by a human. So, and then God told us about the punishment that God provided a punishment for this person on the other side. Then we reach to the verse 30. After describing the punishment, which is a scorching fire, then God said, over it are 19, which was a kind of a strange word. The 19 is a strange number, and also it's a strange verse. It's just simply said, عليها تسعة عشر, which means over it are 19. So 19 what? 19 human, 19 guards, 19 angels, 19 what? And I'm going to tell you something. Based on the next verse, obviously, I can say that after this verse, God did not reveal the next verse, verse 31, and God stopped here. Like the revelation stopped here. And then after a while, God sent down the next verse without any historical document, without going through those books and narration and this stuff. It's based on the actually the concept which is at the verse 31. I can say for sure that there is a time difference between sending down the verse 30 and sending down the verse 31. Why? We will read it and you will see that it's very obvious. And God did this on a purpose. He wanted to do something, and he made it on purpose. He just said 19 and then let them play with this 19. God wanted to test disbelievers and also believers using this number. So over it are 19. Now we are confused. And also those people on the society were confused. Believers were thinking, what is that 19? Although they were believers, but it was kind of a weird for them. They were thinking about it. And in one side, there were disbelievers. Disbelievers were like making joke of it. And they said that, oh, there is only 19 guards on it, and there will be several thousand of us on the hell. We can just beat them. There are 19 only of guards over that fire. One of them said, I can beat 17 of them. You can do two of them. And they started doing many jokes. They started playing with these numbers. And God did whatever that he wanted using this number. And then he sent down next verse. So based on what I explained, I believe that this verse is very well connected to the verse 30, but it's kind of an explanation in a bracket, in a parenthesis, to explain that 19. Why did I said 19? And what is that 19? So verse 31 is very well connected to the verse 30, and it's kind of an explanation in a parenthesis. وَمَا جَعَلْنَا أَصْحَابَ النَّارِ إِلَّا مَلَائِكَةً. We have not appointed the guards of the fire, but the angels. So it means that 19 is 19 angels. And those people who made fun of it, that there's only 19 men over it, we can take care of it, we can stand against them. 19% is nothing to us. So the first thing God said that we have not appointed the guards of the fire, but the angels. It means that 19 are angels. There are 19 angels over that scorching fire to take care of the hell and to do whatever that God commanded to do about the people in the hell. So one point about Allah, Allah here, which I translated into but, it's been translated into except in some translations, which is not accurate. I cannot accept that. As I explained in the first level, Allah sometimes is for exception and it's sometimes for explanation. This is explanation here. God wanted to explain that the numbers that I mentioned in verse 30 is about the numbers of angels. And then وَمَا جَعَلْنَا عِدَّتَهُمْ إِلَّا, and we have not appointed their number but, and the reason that I said 19 is something. So again, Allah here is but, it's for the explanation. God is telling us that the number that I choose, the 19 angel, there is a reason behind that. And it's better to say there are several reasons behind that, which I'm going to tell you what was those reasons. The first one, فِتْنَةً لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, a trial for those who disbelieved. So it was a test. It was a trial. Fitna is a difficult trial. It's a difficult test. And God is testing us continuously in our life. Everything that is happening in our life, it's a test, which I explained it in Surah Al-Fajr. We had it in the first level. Everything that is happening in our life is a fitna. It's a test. It's a trial for us. We have to go through it. So the number of that angels was a test or trial for those who disbelieved. As you remember at the verses before this, that enemy, that person, which I said his name based on the historical document is Walid ibn Mughayr, or the other person similar to him, they said that Quran is a magic. So God give this number to them, gave this number to them to let them play with it. 19 is a important number in magical stuff. Those people who do magic, they are very familiar with this number, and there are books about the number 19, that it's a very specific number. Many things can happen with it. They do many magical things using this number. So God mentioned 19 on purpose to let them play with it. Okay, Do you believe this is a magic? Do you want to say Quran is magic? Okay, just let them play with this number. There is 19 over it. So now go and play with it. This is a good excuse for disbeliever. You may say, why did God provide an excuse for disbelievers? God should say something else to lead them, to guide them. Of course, God wanted to guide them and lead them. And I will let you know how God is going to guide them at the rest of this verse. But the point is, if they want to just make fun of things and they always want to go to the wrong direction, then God will provide good excuses for them to play with them. This is a test for them. And all of the tests in our life is like this. God will say something and let us to choose. So God gave them this number, not to confuse them, only for test them. And God said 19. And this was so one target, one reason behind that 19 is to provide a test or trial for disbelievers. Another thing, ليستيقن الذين أوتوا الكتاب, to convince those who were given the book. Utul Kitab, which is those who were given the book, it means a Christian and Jewish who had the holy book. Ahlul Kitab or Utul Kitab in Quran means those people who have the book. For example, Ahlul Kitab means the people of the book. It means those people who have the holy book. So God said 19 to actually kind of provide a good reason for those people who have Bible to believe in Quran, because 19 was a kind of they were told about that number. It was a kind of a signal from God to the people of the book, Ahl al-Kitab, Jewish and Christian. They were familiar with this number. How, from where, I don't know. All we can say is based on this, that it was a signal between God and them to tell them about this. They were kind of waiting to hear that number, and God convinced them and kind of provide a that thing that they were waiting for it, and so it was another reason concerning the people of the book. وَيَزْدَادَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِيمَانًا, another thing, and to increase the faith of those who have believed. When those people who had the holy books, Christian, Jewish, when they heard number 19, many of them admit Quran, and they said that we were told about this number, we were waiting to hear it, and we knew about this number. So when they admit Quran, when they admit this number, and when they kind of probably they converted to Islam, it caused for those people who believed in Quran before all of these things, when they saw these things, it was kind of increasing the confidence and increasing the faith for them. For example, we are Muslim. We know about Quran, we believe in it, and stuff like this. But when we see someone else who started studying Quran, and based on the scientific study, they would say, okay, this book is something, and I believe in it, and I'm gonna choose it, and I'm gonna convert to this religion. This is kind of increasing the faith for us also, because we see that they are doing a study and now they are believing in it. And it means that this Quran is consistent with those holy books and with whatever that they were told and whatever that they were waiting for it. So when God sent down this number, a group of the people of the book, they were convinced with this number. And because of that, when believers and Muslims saw them, it caused an increase in their faith and in their confidence. وَلَا يَرْتَابَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. And there is a point. Those who were given the book and the believers do not doubt. About this number that God said 19, those people who were Christian, Muslim, and Jewish, this group of people, they were never doubt. They were like, that makes sense. Why not? God made hellfire, and he just appointed 19 angels over it. It's not weird. It's not strange. It makes sense. So they do not doubt. وَلِيَقُولَ الَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِم مَرَضٌ وَالْكَافِرُونَ مَاذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِهَذَا مَثَلًا. But on the other side, those who had a kind of a sickness in their heart, the sickness in the heart means being worldly, based on the approach in the Quran and based on the other verses of Quran. When God said there is a sickness in their heart, it means they are worldly. They only care about worldly value. They have a worldly lifestyle. So, and so that those in whose hearts is sickness and the disbelievers will say, what does God intend by this example? So, in one side, believers, including Muslim, Jewish, Christian, they do not doubt. But on the other side, disbelievers would say, what does God intend by this example? Why did he said so? Why 19? And this stuff. So they were divided into two paragraphs, sorry, I said paragraphs many times. So they were divided into two groups. كذلك يضل الله من يشاء ويهدي من يشاء. So that is how God strays whom wills astray and guides whom wills guidance. So that is how God tests people and divided them into different groups. God put a number among them, and for a while, he didn't send down the verse 31. They started talking, and obviously, there was some conversation among that society. That's why I said that there was a time difference between verse 30 and 31. We can see it now. The people divided it into different groups. They started talking about it. The people of the book, they started thinking about it and checking it with the numbers which were in their books. And the group of disbelievers started making fun of it. They said that, okay, there are 19 are nothing to us. There is going to be several thousands of us in the hellfire. And believers were also thinking about this. So people started this kind of a conversation and being divided into different groups. And that is how God tests people. He put a trial among them and test them. So those who wanted to be guided, they will choose the right path. And those who wanted to go to the wrong path, they will choose this verse, this part, not this verse, this part which says that يُذِلُّ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ, it's usually translated and interpreted in a really, I can say, not appropriate way. And they said that it means God guides some people and misleads some people. It's not like that. God just determined two paths. One is the evil path, the other one is the good path. God determined these two paths and made a destination for each of them. And if someone choose one of these things, those consequences and that specific destination is going to happen for that person. That is the meaning of يُضِلُّ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. It means God determined these two paths. And those people who want to be guided, they will choose the good path and they will go through it, and there is a destination for them that God determined that destination, and they will reach to that point. And there is another path which is the wrong path, which is the evil path. And if people choose that one, they cannot say that we are going to change the destination, we are going to change the consequences of this evil path. If they choose that evil path, the destination and the consequences are determined by God. There are many people who said that I'm going to choose this lifestyle and I will be succeed also. I'm going to have a good life also on the other side, which is absolutely a wrong idea. Many people said that God is very kind and he's not going to punish us. The destination is not that bad. I'm going to choose this lifestyle. God gave me this freedom and this stuff, which is wrong. So when God said, "Yeah, يُضِلُّ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ," that is the meaning that God determined both paths. You are free to choose, but you are not free to change the destination and the consequences. The destination and consequences are determined. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُ. There is one point, there is one more point that I have to mention. You have to know that this number, which I told you, the 19, is not something very important to God. And you shouldn't say that, okay, now we know about the numbers of the soldiers of God and those stuff. No one knows the soldiers of your Lord but Him. This is actually a secret, and this 19 angel was only a tiny part of my plan, which I told you about it. And no one knows about the soldiers of God and about the armies of God except him. He is the only one who knows about the numbers of his soldiers. وَمَا هِيَ إِلَّا ذِكْرَى لِلْبَشَرِ. And this is not but a reminder for the human. This generally as Quran, and specifically about the number of the hellfire and about this hellfire. This is actually a reminder for the human. So reminder generally means Quran. Quran introduced himself several times as a reminder and told us that I am a reminder. But here also, beside that, we can say that specifically about this hellfire. God is saying that all of these verses, Quran, all of these verses, and this hellfire, which I warned you, these are just a reminder. These are not magic. These are not this stuff. Don't be that confused. Why are you interpreting it like this? This is just a reminder. And then we will reach to the next verse. Before going there, if you have any question about this verse, you can ask your question. Nothing? Okay. Next verse said, Kalla wal qamar, definitely not by the moon. This is a swear clause, which means swear by the moon. This is an oath. And it says definitely not. Kalla is rejecting something which was before that. Definitely not. Whatever that was before that is wrong. But and swear by the moon. What was before that? So we have to discuss this part a little. This is not the beginning of a new paragraph. This is still connected to the verses before that. How? Because that person said that Quran is a magical word. That's why it can affect people. So God is saying definitely not. It's not magic. First, God told him that I'm going to punish you with the scorching fire. And then God described that scorching fire. And then between a parenthesis, which was actually a long parenthesis, God explained everything about that number 19. Now the parenthesis is closed. It was verse 31 is kind of like a footnote that God just provides something, some explanation about number 19. Now God wanted to answer to that enemy, to that disbeliever who said Quran is magic. God is saying definitely not, is not magic. Quran is not magic. Swear by moon. وَاللَّيْلَ is adbar, and also swear by the night when it recedes. وَالصُّبْحِ إِذَا أَسْفَرَ, and also swear by the morning when it appears. So these are three swears: swear by moon, swear by night, and swear by the morning. These are three, say, natural phenomena which are actually miracles. We get used to them. That's why we do not consider them as miracle. But if you think about it, these are really miracle, huge miracle. Moon at the sky, it's really a miracle that is providing light in that specific way by reflecting light from the sun to the earth during the night. It's a miracle how it orbits around the earth and all of these huge stuff. And also night is a miracle. And every morning when the sun rises, it's a miracle. All of these things miracle. We do not mention them as a magic. So why that person called Quran as a magic? That is weird because all of these things are signs of God's power and God's wisdom, and no one said they are magic. Quran is very similar to these miracles, and this is also a sign of God's power and God's wisdom. إنها لإحدى الكبر. Indeed, it is truly one of the greatest sign. It refers to Quran. It means surah by moon, surah by night, surah by the morning, as they are the signs of God powers and God's wisdom. Quran is also a miracle. This is a great sign. As you are familiar with the surah clause, when there is a surah part, then there should be an answer. Verse 35 is the answer to the surahs in verses 32, 33, and 34. For example, we say, I swear to God that I didn't lie. I swear to God is the swear part. I didn't lie is the answer part. So very similar to that, verses 32, 33, and 34 are swears, and verses 35 is the answer. And it means swear to these kind of miracles. Quran is also indeed a great sign. This is the sign of God's power and God's wisdom. What is the main goal to send down that نذيرا للبشر, a warning for the human. Quran is a warning for human. We send it down only to warn you. What is wrong with it? Why do you think it's very strange? Why do you think it's something new? It's just a warning to tell you about the other life, to tell you about your deeds, to warn you about your choices. We as human, we have to choose frequently. We do it every minute in our life. For every word that we say, we should make a decision. For everything that we do, we should make a decision. All of these decisions are important in the human life, and we are responsible for all of these decisions that we make. And all of these decisions are going to make a life, a permanent life for us on the other side. So God is very kind to us, and He provided this book to tell us about our decision, to guide us and warn us about the life that we are going to have on the other life. So why do you think that it's a magic? Why do you think that it's strange? Why do you think that it's so weird? It's not weird. It's just a sign of God. لمن شاء منكم أن يتقدم أو يتأخر. But of course, you are free. This is for those people who wants to choose us, for any of you who wills to move forward or stay behind. We provided this book. We're not going to force you to choose it or accept it. We send it down to this prophet who you are continuously bothering him. And this is just a book for you, for some of you who wills to move forward, which means if you take this book, you can move forward in the path of God. And some people don't want to take this book and they are just ignoring it. So one point about verse 35, that some interpretations said that La Ihdal Kobar, this is actually talking about the hellfire. It's going to tell us that that hellfire that which God talked about it, it's actually a great sign of God. But based on the verse 36 and 37, obviously we can reject that kind of interpretation. Of course, that hellfire is also a great sign of God's power. And this is also warning us. But La Ihdal Kobar, with this style that God is talking about it after providing after three swears, it's talking about Quran. It's telling us that Quran is the great sign, and this is actually a warning for the human. This is the end of the second paragraph, and after this, when we go to verse 38, we will see that discussion is different. Now God is talking about another concept. Verses 11 through 37 was all about that specific person, the enemy of Islam, who plotted, who made an evil plot, and he executed his plot. He told people that Quran is a magic, and then God told him that you'll be in the hellfire, and then God described that hellfire, and then the reason for appointing 19 angels over it. And then about Quran, God replied to what he said, that he said Quran is magic. God replied to him that it's not magic. This is a great sign. So now the topic is slightly different at verse 38, and it's talking about, as we will read it, it's talking about a group of people on the other side, on the at the hell and heaven, that there's going to be a discussion between people at the hell and heaven. And this concept is slightly different from the other one, although they are somehow connected, which I'm going to talk about it next week. But for now, we can say 38 is the beginning of the new paragraph. Uh, this verse says, كل نفس بما كسبت رهينة. Every soul for what it has earned will be held. It means everything that we do, we are kind of stuck with it. And this verse, rahina, means being stuck with something. And it has a kind of, it's actually talking about the negative point of it. It's not talking about the positive, not talking about the good deeds. It's not talking about the positive part of it. When we say someone is stuck in something, we kind of mean that it's a bad deeds. It means he did something wrong. Now he's stuck with the consequences of it and stuff like this. So this verse is telling us that if you do something, that thing will stay with you, the consequences of it and all of these things. And every soul for what it has earned will be held. إلا أصحاب اليمين, except the people of the right. Right and left are kind of a two symbols in Quran. Right hand or right hand people, or the people of the right, means those people who did good deeds, those people who choose the path of God. And left hand or the people of the left means those people who choose the evil path. So God is mentioning that everything that you will do, it will stay with you, and every soul will be held with whatever that they did, except those people who have good deeds. في جنات يتساءلون. And these people, the people of the right, who will be in gardens, which means heaven, they will ask about, not about, sorry, they will ask the sinners. They will ask sinners, and it means there is a conversation between sinners and the people in the heaven. And the people in the heaven will ask sinners, they will ask something. One point about here, there are other verses in Quran that they mention that there is kind of a, say, not curtain, maybe something like a curtain, something like a wall between hell and heaven. And sometimes this is open, and people in hell and heaven, they can see each other, and there is some kind of a symbolic conversation between them. And this conversation is going to tell us about how painful is the hell, and they are suffering their situation and this stuff. This is kind of a, yeah, it's kind of a curtain or the wall between them, and not the physical wall or stuff like this. They are not close to each other and this stuff. This is kind of a symbol to tell us that whatever that is between them, sometimes it's open and they can see each other, and the consequences of their choice, they can see it, and then they can talk to each other. So those people who are in the heaven, the people of the right, will ask the sinners, ما سلككم في سقر? What brought you into the scorching fire? Saqar, which we saw it at the second paragraph, God told that person, the enemy of Islam who plotted, God told him that I'm gonna drag you into the Saqar. Saqar is the scorching fire. Now, those people, the people of the right, believers, are asking those kind of those disbelievers, asking them what brought you into the scorching fire. What did you do that the end of your story is this? Then they will explain. I mean the sinners. The sinners who are in the hellfire, they will explain. قالوا لم نكن من المصلين. They will say, we were not of those who prayed. we did not do pray. So this is one reason. Another reason, وَلَمْ نَكُنْ نُطْعِمُ الْمِسْكِينَ, nor did we feed the poor. Another reason is this: we didn't care about feeding the needy, and we didn't care about them. And these two deeds are very important in Islam: doing pray and helping the charity and spending money to feed the poor people. These two deeds, I can say, these are the basics of Islamic deeds. And everywhere in Quran that God wanted to invite people to do pray, just beside the pray, God said that you have to feed the needy, you have to spend money in the path of God. These two are always together. I can say almost always together. And these are two basic deeds in Quran. So these people who ended up in the hellfire, they would say that we didn't do these two things. We did not do pray, we did not feed the poor people. وَكُنَّا نَخُوضُ مَعَ الْخَائِضِينَ, and we indulge in falsehood along with those who indulge in it. And we did something else. We did not do those two things, but instead of that, we did something else. We were always among those people who made fun of the Quran, who were so good on wasting their time on playing and making joke and all of these things, just wasteful stuff and falsehood stuff. We were always among them, and we were so happy with the way that we are spending our time and we are wasting our time in falsehood things. Another thing, وَكُنَّا نُكَذِّبُ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ, and we denied the day of judgment. And being among those kind of a people, being away from the pray, being away from the charity, and this stuff, finally we ended up like this. We denied the day of judgment. So these were four wrong deeds that they had. Two things that Islam told them to do, and they do not do it. They did not do it, praying and spending money in the path of God. And on the other side, God told them to be away from the bad deeds and do not waste your time with those kind of a people. They played with them and they were among them, and they denied the day of judgment. So two things that they had to do, they didn't do it. Two things that they had to be away from it, they did it. These four things together, these four deeds together, caused this kind of a ending, and they ended up in the hell fire. حتى أتانا اليقين. We continued this lifestyle. We did all of these horrible things until the certainty of death came to us, until we die. حتى أتانا اليقين simply means until we died. So this was the response of the people at the hellfire to those people who were in the heaven, and they explained why the end of the our story is like this. So in this part, God is kind of providing a picture of their future. God is telling us about the future of that kind of a people to warn us and also to warn them. And then فما تنفعهم شفاعة الشافعين. God is kind of make a conclusion about what he explained about their situation, about what he explained at the verses 38 to 47. And then God is saying, فما تنفعهم شفاعة الشافعين, as they're gonna have such an end, and as they're gonna have such a actually destination at the hellfire, then why they are not listening to Quran, why they are not gonna follow Quran, and this kind of stuff. Now the conclusion of their story is in these verses. Verse 48, فَمَا تَنْفَعُهُمْ شَفَاعَةُ الشَّافِعِينَ. So the intercession of intercessors will not benefit them. When they ended up like this, when they made their decision and when they made their choices, and their destination is hellfire, and no one can help them on that situation. No intercessor can help them anymore in that situation. فَمَا لَهُمْ عَنِ التَّذْكِرَةِ مُعْرِضِينَ. If that destination is waiting for them, then what is the matter with them that they turn away from the reminder? listening to these verses and being reminded about it, then they have to follow this Quran. And what is wrong with them? That they turn away from this reminder. Reminder means Quran. كأنهم حمر مستنفرة, as if they were terrified wild asses. Wild asses, homor. Homor is the plural of hemar, which means wild asses. Wild ass is a kind of a symbol of being stubborn, being mindless, and do not care about important things. This is a symbolic things, and God is not humiliating them here. God is just describing their nature. Their nature is like terrified wild asses who just run away. They just run away and they are misunderstood about many things. فرت من قسورة, fleeing from a lion. They believe that Quran is like a lion. It's like a prey that it's gonna um, take them, and they are terrified of Quran and they just run away from it, and they are acting like wild asses, which is, as I said, this is just describing their nature. When God said wild asses, this is not for making joke about them. This is the real nature of them. They are really like wild asses. They don't listen, they don't care, they don't think. They are misunderstood about Quran. They think that Quran is a lion, and they are just want to run away from it. بل يريد كل امرئ منهم أن يؤتى صحفا منشرة. And instead of taking this Quran, they just prefer something else. Each one of them desires that he would be given open scriptures. You know what? They are like this. Why did God send down this Quran to this person? He is a poor person. He is shepherd and this stuff. We don't want to accept Quran from him, and God should send down a book specific for each of us. So that's what they desire. كلا بل لا يخافون الآخرة. Definitely not. Of course, I'm not gonna send them individual books. There's one book, and I send it down to the prophet that I choose. And if they want to follow it, they have to follow this Quran. Actually, verse 52 is telling us the reason that they bring up for rejecting Quran, like they said it by their mouth that we are not gonna accept this Quran because it is sent down to someone else. That's why we do not want to follow it. And we want a book specific for each of us. If God can send down holy books, then He can send individual books for each of us. Okay, it was something that they said. Now God is replying to their request. And God is saying, كَلَّا بَلْ لَا يَخَافُونَ الْآخِرَةَ. Definitely not. I'm not going to send you individual book. In fact, they do not fear they do not fear the hereafter. The problem is they do not fear the hereafter. These things that they are telling us that we want individual books, these are just an excuse that they are saying it, but their main problem is not this. They don't want individual book. The main problem, the main reason that they are rejecting this book is because of the not being fearful of the hereafter. They don't care about the hereafter. They don't believe in it, and this stuff. So the problem is not the book. So كلا إنه تذكرة. Again, definitely not. I'm not gonna send you another book or individual book. Indeed, it is a reminder. It refers to Quran, and it means Quran is a reminder, and that is enough for all human. And I sent down one of it, and if you want to follow this path, you can follow it. فَمَنْ شَاءَ ذَكَرَ. So whoever wills may remember it. Whoever is fearful of God, whoever is fearful of the hereafter, they can choose this Quran, they can follow the path. And this reminder is enough for all of us. وَمَا يَذْكُرُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ هُوَ أَهْلُ التَّقْوَى وَأَهْلُ الْمَغْفِرَةِ. And they will not remember, but that God wills. He is worthy of fear and worthy of offering forgiveness. You know what? They may say that we can choose another path. to be succeed and this stuff, which I explained it before, it's not possible. If they want to be succeed and if they want to be reminded, they have to know that God provided the path and God determined the destination for each of these two paths, the path of evil, the path of good. And when they choose each of these paths, then they will reach to a specific destination that God made for them. And of course, God is the one who is worthy of fear, and he is worthy of offering forgiveness. This is end of this chapter. I was trying to just translate it very quick as fast as possible to finish our class in 1 hour. Next week, I'm gonna explain each of these paragraph, the main goal of each paragraph, the reason that God sent down that paragraph, what was the problem on that society that God sent down each of these paragraph to solve that problem. And then we will find out the connection between these paragraphs to understand the main goal of this chapter. There is a main goal of this chapter, and we are going to find it out by checking each of these paragraphs. So for next week, I'm going to invite you to read this chapter again. Think about the paragraphs, try to find out the main goal of each paragraph and try to find out the connection between these paragraphs. And next week, we are going to have our class exactly in this time. So I'm going to stop the recording and